What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed the show today, as I do post new Warriors videos daily. Now, last night's comeback was just another show of what the Warriors have got. Now, they were down pretty much the majority of the game. I think their worst deficit was 18, yet they found a way to come back. And I think that speaks a lot to this entire roster. And yes, you had guys like Quentin Post putting up numbers. You had guys like Trace Jackson Davis grabbing a lot of boards. You had Steph Curry doing the Steph Curry show. And that's all great. But I think overall, like the togetherness of this team is something we haven't seen with the Warriors team since the last title run in 2022. And I think that says a lot, especially going into the season. I mean, this is their second comeback win against the Blazers. And now I will say, like, you shouldn't have to come back against the Blazers if you're a top tier team, especially in the preseason. And there were certain mistakes made during the game, not so much by Steph, but by the rest of the team. I remember that really, really bad turnover by Quentin Post where Shaden Sharp steals it for an easy dunk at the other end. That's just not a good look, but let's be honest, Post made up for it with his 16 points, and I hope he does carry that over into the season because we're going to need that into the season. Our first games are against the Blazers, and they're against the Lakers, and then we're going to start playing the Nuggets. Then we're going to start playing the Wolves. Then we're going to start playing a bunch of other teams that actually have big men that will create problems for the likes of Al Horford because during the regular season, the minutes are going to get a lot heavier on guys like Horford who can't play those kinds of minutes, and he's going to get worn down. So you got to put Quentin Post in there to cover those minutes. Now, again, Jimmy wasn't playing. I didn't see a lot from Draymond as I only caught bits of the game because I had a cable issue. But it was a good game overall, and I did like the comeback. Now going into the preseason finale against the Clippers, that's going to be a little more interesting since that I think for both teams is going to be a tune-up game. I mean, this is really going to get a sense of where they're at because you're going to have all your starters playing. They're going to play, I want to say, they're not going to play heavy minutes, but they're going to play solid minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy play 30 minutes each, and they see how far they can push Al Horford. Now, Al Horford has shown that he was that right little pickup to push the team forward. And I do like it more and more the more I see it. He does stretch the floor. That creates opportunities for Jimmy. That creates opportunities for Kuminga. That creates opportunities for Draymond. Because, again, they're not three-point shooters. And they're not, at this point in their careers, they're not likely going to become three-point shooters. Maybe Kuminga does, but I'd say it's more likely that he doesn't than he does. But we never know. It's a long season, and let's see what happens. Now, the biggest takeaway from this game is it was more the Steph Curry show than anything else. And while I do like that Steph has shown out, it was like watching old Steph Curry last night, and he was just throwing up his magic shots, and they were going in. And I think that's both a good and a bad thing in situations like this, where yes, he's still got it, but you can't have him being the only like offensive super force. I don't think anybody outside of Steph scored over 20 points. I think the second highest scorer was Quentin Post with 16. Now, I like that, but I'd like to see other guys get more involved and make a bigger effort. Yes, there were a lot of guys that were in double digits in scoring, but I want to see guys come out and just really surprise because during the season, like we're gonna see the same thing that happened to Steph during the Rocket series happen during the season. They're gonna double him. They're gonna like put pressure on him that forces the rest of the team to become the scorers. And when the rest of the team becomes the scorers, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to do. Yes, Quentin Post can put up 16. Yes, Buddy Hield can put up maybe 15 or 16. Occasionally, Pods will have that kind of a game that he had against the Lakers on Sunday, but that's not a guarantee. So it's a little concerning. Yes, Jimmy and Draymond weren't playing, but needing a second or even third scorer is going to be essential going into the season because you're going to come up with guys that have a lot of weapons, and with these weapons, they can use each one to hurt you. Let's say let's go with say all right, simple one, Phoenix Suns. They have two real weapons in both. What is it? Jalen Green and Devin Booker, guys who can score from deep and probably can ring up the score in about 2 minutes from a 2 point game to a 20 point game. That's a problem. You don't exactly have that with Steph and Jimmy. Jimmy, he's just a workhorse who's going to just drive, attack, give you that extra effort, and score the buckets. But he's not going to help you get like get you up to like a 25-point lead all by himself. He will help lead the charge for the comeback, spreading out the ball and getting to the bucket, but he's not going to be that guy who's just outbursts with points. That's only Steph. And that's what concerns me. You take away Steph, we saw what happened against the Timberwolves, and I think we just need that third reliable scorer. I can't count on Kuminga to be that guy because he's just too similar to Jimmy Butler. But I do see if there isn't any injuries, Steph's abilities will be, or all right, excuse me. If there aren't any injuries, Steph will be fine, and they don't need to rely on him as much because they're going to be able to spread the ball around due to the fact they have great spacing. That being said, what I did like about last night is something I talked about previously with that new hot contact rule going into effect. Steph was 12 for 13 from the line. That's impressive. Those remind me of James Harden during his real foul hunting days. And I think that says a lot going into the season because that did play a big role in the Warriors' comeback. The fouls, the foul trouble that the Blazers got into, as well as Steph's ability to score from the line and get those easy buckets. So I do like that. I think that's going to play a big role. I want to see how it plays a big role on Friday's game against, or I believe it's Friday's game against the Clippers, and I want to see how this plays out. Because if, say, Steph plays Friday against the Clippers, and wait, let me make sure it's Friday against the Clippers. Hold on, I don't want to sound dumb, but yeah, I'm like 90% sure. I got it. NBA and Friday, Thursday. No, it's not Friday. Oh, is it Friday? Oh, yes, it is Friday. Okay, yes, I was right. So against Friday's game against the Clippers, and that's the home preseason finale. So if he gets to the free throw line as often as he did against the Blazers, I'm really curious to see how things turn out and if this is likely going to continue. Now, Steph hasn't played a lot of minutes throughout the preseason because you're sort of getting him ramped up. Now, Friday, like I said, everybody's going to get going and everybody's going to really show out on Friday, as I think it's going to be like a fan appreciation, and it's going to be the tune-up game for the rest of the season as they get started on Monday against the Lakers. And I believe that's going to be a full-strength Lakers team with both Marcus Smart and Luka Doncic. Warriors haven't faced either of them yet together on the floor in either of their preseason games. So I want to see how that plays out. But Friday is going to be a good warm-up for something like that. Now, I did see some interesting information on ESPN. And I know you guys think that ESPN is bought and held by the league. But this was interesting because they predicted the Warriors to finish first overall for their preseason prediction. And they had them ahead of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They actually had them, I believe it was a 59 win total on ESPN. And just for me, I'm like, what? That's just crazy. And I read through the entire article, and it said the main reason that they believe that the Warriors are going to do so well is because of that momentum from last season. They had them being 20-7 by the time the Christmas Day games roll around, and I think it was 40-13 by the time we hit the All-Star break. So they're going to they really do believe, like I believe, that they're going to get off to a hot start and are never going to relinquish it from there. And one of the big things they talk about in the article behind the prediction is while there is a lot of talent, I guess better talent around the league, all that talent around the league comes with question marks within the team in its entirety. And the team that has the most talent with the fewest question marks happens to be the Warriors. And in all honesty, it makes a lot of sense. Do I think that they are going to finish number one overall at the end of the season? I hope so, but I do believe they will finish top three, especially with how their momentum is going now that they have a full offseason with Jimmy, and they're starting with Jimmy coming out of the gates. And with Horford and Quentin Post showing improvement in stretching the floor, yes, I do see them being a real problem for other teams. Now, the one drawback I've noticed in this preseason is Quentin Post isn't making the strides I want him to in terms of physicality in the post area. Now, I saw last night he got bodied a couple of times by Donovan Clingan, and that's just tough because when playoffs roll around, you're going to have guys that are just going to drop it in the post. And after what I saw Victor Wembanyama do the other day, where he just put his arm up to quickly block a shot, and it's going to be a problem because Wembanyama, he is that guy. And if the Warriors have to face the Spurs in a postseason battle, they're the one team that concerns me the most outside of the Rockets as well. Well, not so much the Thunder because, again, you can't let a team like Indiana take you to 7 games. I don't care how good you think you are. If you let a team like Indiana take you to 7, you're not that good. So that's that. But the teams like the Rockets and the Spurs, I am very concerned with because they're young, they're lengthy, and they've got that experience and the right coaching staff around them. Now with the Rockets, they don't have Fred VanVleet, which is, I put it, a big plus for us because we don't have to deal with that just tenacious defense from him on Steph Curry, and it's going to probably take the likes of Amen Thompson to guard him, which is tough. But then again, Steph is still faster than him, and the quickness of his shot that I saw last night, nobody's blocking that. They're just going to attempt to it, and when they get that hot contact foul, that's another point or two from the line. So I definitely see that doing well. But to give you a grain of salt for this ESPN prediction, they did have the Timberwolves winning the lottery and then having to swap their pick with the Jazz. So, I mean, if you're that low on the Timberwolves after back-to-back conference finals appearances, like you go from Western Conference Finals all the way to the lottery, I'm not too confident in it, but I am confident that the Warriors are going to be a hot team out of the gate. Now, bottom line is the fact Dubs are keeping the momentum going. They're going to go into Friday trying to keep the momentum, go 4-1 in the I believe it's 4-1 in the preseason, and I like it. I want them to continue to do well. I want them to show up and really help themselves coming out of the gate because once the season starts, the wins count. Now these games don't count, but they're good warm-ups. And with the Clippers, this is the ultimate tune-up game because the Clippers, I believe, are more dangerous at full strength than the Lakers are because they have top through bottom, they have a great team, fully healthy. They have Chris Paul coming off the bench. They have John Collins coming off the bench. They have Bradley Beal coming off the bench. They have James Harden. They have Bogdan Bogdanovic. They have Ivan Zubac. They have Brook Lopez. They have Kawhi, should he play this year, fully healthy. And they just have so much talent and depth they're probably going to be the biggest problem going into the season. But if it wasn't for this aspiration scandal, I would be more worried about them than any other team. But this aspiration scandal is going to loom large over their locker room for the entire season. Every post game, they're going to be asked questions about it until it's resolved by the league. Once it's resolved by the league, then there's no reason to talk about it. But that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, because I see new headlines come out every single day regarding this sponsorship deal. And just the other day, I saw that the league approved a ad patch, which personally I hate the ad patches, on with aspiration for the Clippers. So this does bring up the question of who was really involved, how much did the Clippers know, how much did the league know, and is Kawhi's Uncle Dennis really the culprit in this entire thing? So, but that until that's resolved, that's going to loom large, and the Warriors have to take advantage of that uncertainty that the Clippers have this Friday and really come out swinging in what I would call the final tune-up game of the preseason before they face the Lakers next week. So I want Warriors, come out strong, keep doing what you're doing, and next thing you know, first place and the finals are ours. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And do me a favor. Shoot those predictions for Friday's game down in the comments below, because I really believe that they're going to beat up on the Lakers beat up on the Clippers going into the season. And tell me what you think about these ESPN predictions, because is number one overall or first in the Western Conference too high? Is it, or should they be like top 5 or top 3? Let me know. Now, and as always, go Dubs.